was a big NBA kid. I'm watching NBA all the time at home, watching the finals. The Lakers are always in the finals. And now I'm in practice with Magic, James Worthy, Byron Scott, all these guys. And I'm like, okay. And the first time you play Chicago, now there's Jordan, like you've seen him.
Were you with Jordan? Was that
No,
okay.
Playing against Jordan.
Yeah, okay.
In my rookie year, we played Jordan in the finals.
Hey, it's Sarah Oberbrenner with the S Club podcast, and I'm here with an extraordinary guest who has excelled both on and off the basketball court. Tony Smith, a Marquette University Hall of Famer, was drafted into the NBA in the 1990s. He not only excelled in professional basketball, but he holds a degree in organizational leadership and mechanical engineering. After leaving the NBA, he transitioned into broadcasting, where he was a studio host and analyst for Fox Sports and the Milwaukee Bucks. He's now channeling his passion and energy into his latest venture, Beyond Birdies, which is an incredible organization that he started that helps bridge the diversity gap in golf. Tony, thanks for joining us.
Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Good. Did I get everything correct on there?
Yeah, you did. Close. I mean, I'm going to not take credit, but I'm going to take credit for the degrees. I have the organizational leadership degree. I've completed that. The mechanical engineering degree, a little more difficult. I did 4 years of the program. So
how long
that
is
part
the
I can take care
in
of.
Mechanical engineering?
Unfortunately, it's a little more. It's probably 5 years, but I had more credits. I only had 3 left to get my engineering degree.
No. Okay.
And fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, I was drafted by the Lakers in 1990 when I graduated. So I couldn't finish that.
So almost mechanical engineering.
Almost. I'm going to say. I mean, I had
I'm
one or 2 classes. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Got to give it to me, right?
I'm giving it to you.
I'll take it.
Yeah. So you grew up in the 80s, correct?
I grew up in the 80s. Well, I was born in the 80s. 68.
Okay.
So
wow.
I'm very old. So I grew up in the 70s.
Okay,
yes.
70s. So at that time, did you grow up in Milwaukee?
I did, yes. My family originally from Arkansas. My mom came up from Arkansas, started a new life here in Milwaukee randomly. I don't know how that occurred, but grew up in Milwaukee and on the north side by Washington High School, if you know where that is.
And when you grew up, you were not only black, but poor in Milwaukee. What were some experiences and challenges that you remember?
Yes, I was black. Growing up as a kid, I just remember, like, you don't really know your state in life. I mean, it's not like today, because you can look at today's world and everything is so close because you have everything on your phone. So I can look around and see everybody everywhere. When I'm growing up, there's no phone. There's no computer. You really only know your immediate neighbors and your immediate surroundings, right? I got a different taste of life, maybe a little more of an indication of where we stood as far as society and economically when I started school in Wauwatosa. But other than that...
Were you automatically able to go there, or did you enroll in there?
No, my class of kids were the first of the 220 program, and it's where they gave you a free bus pass. So you caught the city bus. There wasn't the yellow school bus. You caught the city bus. So we'd have to walk a couple blocks to the corner, me and my sister, and catch the North Avenue bus all the way up to 76 and North Avenue. So it was part of the start of the 220 program. We actually started that.
So being in that 220 program, was it very clear to your peers that you were 220? Like,
well, I mean,
you were kind of separated at that time?
It was the first influx of African-American students, I'm sure. So they obviously noticed it. I mean, because it's different for them, and it was different for us. So it wasn't anything. Again, as a kid, those aren't the things you kind of remember, or at least I didn't. Possibly a different experience for my sister, because we started together. She may have experienced something different and noticed that. But for me, it wasn't anything but just going to school.
So when you went to Wauwatosa, I would have thought that it was to play basketball. Not at all, right?
No, again, because you're thinking in modern terms,
right,
where people do stuff like that. They go to a certain school because they have a good basketball team or a good football team. But no, back then, no. It was strictly education. My mom wanted a better education for us. She didn't want us growing up in MPS, and she wanted us to have an advantage school-wise.
So when you went to Wauwatosa, did you immediately start playing basketball?
Well, I think I was already playing basketball because, for my neighborhood, that was very accessible. I could just go a block over, and there's a middle school there. There's a court. There's guys playing basketball. So I just walk over there. Hey guys, can I play? I start playing. I picked up basketball late though. I probably didn't start playing until I was about 12.
12.
Yeah.
So I would think, just looking at how youth sports is now, I mean, kids start now, 4 and 5.
Yeah, that's why I say it's totally different worlds now. Kids are starting early. I mean, I ran an AAU program where they were starting at 9, 8 and 9. Yeah.
So would you have been able to play ball, do you think, now, if that was the path that you had to follow?
So the thing that was popular back when I was growing up, when I got into high school and you became a better basketball player, there were camps that would go on. So there was no really AAU tournaments and leagues. It was just camps. So you'd have to pay to go to these camps. Sometimes you get an invite, but I went to one camp during my high school years, one camp. So would I have been able to afford the sports scene like it is now, the AAU and all the travel teams? Doubtful. I mean, they're very costly. So I'm not sure if my mom could have swung that.
So do you feel like you had any mentors then during that time that kind of helped push you into basketball?
No one really pushed you in. It's really the kids in the neighborhood. You're kind of tall, so they're like, hey, you could play basketball. I mean, right? No brainer. So I'm like, all right, I'll go try it. I was really playing football, dodgeball on the playground. Wasn't really playing any basketball, but clearly I got into it, and it worked out well for me because I was just naturally good at it.
And when you were drafted into the NBA, how was that experience for you? Like at a young age, I feel like that was a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but it's like, because it's hard for us, I know, when we talk to think in terms of back then and now, because there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
There's so much TV coverage, so much social media coverage of everything. Everything's a big production now, right? So back then in college, I really didn't even, or say even in high school, I wasn't even sure that I was going to play college basketball probably until my senior year. I had no idea that, that was a possibility. I'm just out there having fun playing basketball. Of course, you're getting letters from schools. My junior year, I'm getting a lot of letters, but.
So would you say it was during that time that you realized you probably had the skill set to go into the NBA?
Well, I knew no, not in high school. No, I had no idea in high school. I mean, I didn't even know if I was getting drafted until my senior year. Because I was just playing in college. Was I All-American? No, not then. Not to my senior year I wasn't, but before that. That's why you don't really know. Like I say, it's a totally different world growing up then. It was not all the media coverage. Like, you can just open up your phone and see where you rank, see who's talking about you, the scouts. You don't have that kind of access. So you're just out there playing, out there competing. And like I say, the only real judge nationally you have is like in high school when I went to a camp. There's kids from all over the country, and you go and play and compete. Now, when I went to that camp, it was the BC All-Stars camp, and it was in Indiana. And that's where I saw guys that back then, it's going to seem old. You had to pick up a magazine. These are guys you see in a magazine that are ranking high school players, right?
Yeah.
So you saw some of those guys, and at the end of the camp, they have the best campers versus the counselors. So, and the counselors were college basketball players, so they have the best campers against the counselors. So I made that team to play. So it was a kind of exhibition at the end of camp. So I kind of got the feeling, okay, I'm pretty good on a national level, not just a local level.
And then with when we talked about in the beginning, like when I was introducing you about your degrees that you hold too,
right.
I feel like a lot of times athletes maybe have the skill, but not necessarily do well educational.
Right.
What was your experience with that?
Yeah, well, the education path I had, obviously I told you my mom was very big on academics and grades, and there was one time in high school where my grades were they were very average. They weren't terrible. They were very average.
What's average?
I mean, I'm getting a 2.0.
Okay, that's a little below average.
Well, I'm just saying. To me, that was average.
Sure.
And, well, by the school standards,
yeah,
you were eligible to play basketball. So
what was the minimum score?
That's what it was. It was you just needed a 2.0
yeah.
to be eligible to play basketball. And I had that. But my mom kind of saw what I was doing. I said, you're just barely doing the minimum just so you could stay eligible. So she asked me from the team, said, nah, you got to do better than that. So I quickly got my grades up, obviously, so I can get back on the court. But that just told her that I was sloughing off before. So now I had to keep the higher standard. So that's just an idea of like where she was coming from academically. That's why we went to Tulsa to get a better education, why I went into engineering in Marquette. And like I said, I basically had the degree. And again, difference in times. Today's, I talk to because I travel with the Marquette team. I do the basketball games. So I talk to some of our academic advisors, and they're telling me now in my situation, I would have been able to finish my engineering degree.
You would have been able to?
Yeah, because the school would have allowed me to. So back when I graduated back in the 90s, I tried to finish that degree because I only had 4 credits left, and the school was like, "Oh, we can't do that. You can't take. It's not a summer course. It's only offered during the regular school year. You can't take it anywhere else. You have to finish it at the university." There are all these stipulations. And talking to them now, I just talked to them the last couple of years about it, and they were like, "Yeah, we would have made it work for you, basically." So a lot of things are different now.
And then when you were in the NBA, what were some of the favorite teams that you played for?
There's, and the NBA is a business, and you kind of learn that pretty quick. So I don't have any favorites. I don't play favorites with business. It's whoever paid me the most. That's my favorite team. So that would be the Lakers who paid me the most because I was there for 5 years.
Okay. And what were some of the experiences that you remember in the NBA?
I do remember going in and, I got drafted to the Lakers, and of course we have Magic Johnson, James
Did you play with
Worthy.
Kobe?
Nope, Kobe.
Okay.
Kobe was much younger. He came in actually as I left. I left the Lakers so Kobe could come on. So all you Lakers fans out there, you're welcome. But coming in, I'm playing with Magic Johnson. And these are guys. I was a big NBA kid. I'm watching NBA all the time at home, watching the finals. The Lakers are always in the finals. And now I'm in practice with Magic, James Worthy, Byron Scott, all these guys. And I'm like, okay, we got to go play now. It's you think about it before you get there, driving up to practice, but when you start getting on the floor, that kind of there's a switch that kind of goes away. Now you're just competing. So it was something when you go face, and the first time you play Chicago. Now there's Jordan, like you've seen him.
Were you with Jordan? Was that
No,
okay.
playing against Jordan.
Yeah, okay.
In my rookie year, we played Jordan in the finals. So, but we had seen him a couple times during the year. So, I mean, just seeing the players that you've watched all the time for the first time in person, and now you're not watching, you're playing against them. So it was just kind of like whoa moment. But again, you're on the floor, and you don't really think of it as like, ooh, it's so and so. It's I'm playing right now.
Right. So I feel like you're a really well-grounded person, and given all that success that you had at such a young age, how did you stay grounded and true to yourself?
Again, upbringing. I mean,
I feel
staying
like you
humble.
can say upbringing though, but like you have some kids who are brought up well,
Correct. Yeah.
and just make different choices.
Yeah, I mean, as we know, obviously, my sister and I grew up in the same house, so we're very different people, right? So you're going to have different personalities, even growing up or with the same upbringing. But I guess part of my personality, as you know, I'm kind of low-key, not really excitable, don't get emotionally high, don't get emotionally low. It's just part of who I am. So I think that helps. And I'm just not a, party person. Obviously, if I was, I could have been a lot different playing in LA. I played in Miami. You played in some of the big party cities.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big scene out there. It wasn't my scene, so I didn't really get into it. So, and
I attribute a lot of that to your mom then. I mean, so
100%.
how did your mom? I mean, was your mom like really passionate about all this stuff because she did schooling? Like, how did she know how to do all this stuff with you?
I mean, I don't know where she got it from.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. From her upbringing, as a parent, you typically, not that I'm a parent, but from what I hear from parents, that you want better for your kids, right? So this is where she came from. She's in Milwaukee now, trying to do this, having 2 jobs. Like we don't have the traditional family that I saw when I went to Tulsa, right? Like when I went to Tulsa, I remember being amazed that they were sitting down to eat as a family for dinner.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that? Like, we don't do that. My mom's at work.
Yeah.
We're making our own dinner sometime. Like, or when she does come home, she'll make dinner and just eat when you're ready. Because I was at the playground playing basketball. I wasn't there when dinner was done. I came in late when it got dark. It's 8 or 9 o'clock, and now I'm eating. right? Whatever she had cooked before. So it's just a different way of growing up. But I mean, she doesn't let you get full of yourself, to say, right? She will remind you who you are and who the real boss is.
And then when you transitioned out of the NBA into broadcasting, was that a natural career path for you?
I think that is, as you can see today, if you watch sports at all, in any sport, you'll see former athletes are the analysts for most sports because they understand the game. They can explain it to the audience, which is your job. So
what's the difference between an analyst and a host?
A host is, so I play the analyst part, which means I basically explain not what's going on. That's the host will explain what's going on the floor, and that's actually play-by-play. They're called for the games. So that's what I do now with Marquette. I'm an analyst or the color. My partner Homer is the play-by-play guy. So Homer is talking a mile a minute because he's telling people who can't see what is going on the court. Right now, when there's a breaking action, that's when I speak and I explain. Oh, what Homer just told you happened. This is why it happened, because this is what is supposed to happen on the floor. Because of basketball, this is that, right? I explain the game and why decisions are being made, maybe by the coach or what the referees are seeing or whatever. I explain the little intricacies of the game. He just explains what is going on the floor. My hosting, my analyst job with the Bucks, there was a host. Like Craig Kashan was the host. Telly Hughes was a host. So they would just read ads, they would read stats, they would talk about the matchups, and then they would come to me, okay, why is this a good matchup for the Bucks? Why is it not a good matchup? What can you expect from this player? What's going to drive? I get into the minds of the players because I've played and I've been there. So that's the difference between a host. The host is really the setup guy. You're the host of this podcast. I am not the analyst, but I'm the guest, so
similar roles.
Correct. You would be similar to what the host would be doing.
So when did you get into golf then? I know we'll talk about Beyond Birdies in a little bit, but when did you get into golf?
Yeah. So I actually played a little bit of golf in high school. I mean, I wouldn't say played golf. I knew what golf was because I have some friends that actually played a little bit of golf, and I hate to say I played it because I play it now. So back then I was just out there.
Sure.
And I didn't have clubs. I had nothing. I just went out with them, with my friends, and they're just whacking the ball around. I don't even remember playing. I doubt we played 18 holes because that would be a long time, not knowing what you're doing and not having any of your own equipment. I mean, I'm thinking like a glove. I don't have anything. I don't know what I was doing out there in the first place. But so I knew about it in high school after going out to Wauwatosa, but growing up, never heard of golf.
Did a lot of kids play in Wauwatosa golf? Like when you went there?
No, I mean not a lot. Not in the circles that I ran in. I basically ran into the basketball circles though. So all the kids I was with were playing basketball, but there were kids golfing in Wauwatosa. I just weren't friends with them. I didn't know them, right? Because like I say, sometimes some other friends, they would go out. But I didn't really notice or start getting into golf. Obviously, just like everybody else, till Tiger Woods came around. He started playing. He started coming big. But while I was playing basketball, I didn't golf at all. I may have done a couple of like charity things every now and then, but I wasn't golfing on my own. I wasn't seeking going out to golf. That happened after I retired because I had a lot of time. Right, I got a lot of time. And I have a lot of resources. I have the access now. All right, now I'm picking up golf. I'm buying clubs. I'm buying a membership to a club, and I'm fully immersed in golf at that point.
So Beyond Birdies is an organization that you started this past year. What made you start that, and what's the mission behind that? Yeah,
so Beyond Birdies, I'm trying to think of how it actually started, what made me think about it. Well, I knew what was going on in the world of golf. The PGA Tour, the PGA of America, USGA, all the governing bodies of golf were talking about diversity. And I had a friend of mine who was working for one of those organizations come to me and ask me, say, hey, how can we get more minorities involved in golf? Right? He says, I know you golf. Do you have a lot of friends that golf? We're trying to get more minorities in the golf. I go, well, that's a great question. I said, you're going to need resources. I said, that's the first thing. Golf is expensive.
So financial resources.
The financial piece is big, yes, because you don't have the resources. Just go out there and, I'm just going to buy some clubs that cost, $800, $900 for some good clubs. Or even if you want to buy starter clubs, it's $200-300.
Yeah. Right? So for those of us who aren't really familiar with costs of golf,
right?
What does that
very expensive, by the way.
What does that sport entail, like as far as cost?
Well, I mean, it's just a lot. Again,
yeah.
Clubs in itself, but the problem is you just aren't. When you're starting out, you're not going to go buy what's going to be your final set of clubs. You're going to buy a starter set of clubs. It's still going to cost you $200-300.
I think that's what I have.
And you don't know what you're doing.
I don't know what any of them are.
Correct. So you have $300 invested in something you have no idea what you're doing, and that's just the clubs. You don't have gloves. You don't have balls. You don't have any of the golfing accessories. Outfits are even more important. You don't have golf clothes. Proper attire at the golf course is required. You don't have a polo shirt. You don't have the right pants, shorts. Again, it's just a lot that goes into even just stepping onto the course. Yeah. Right. So I said financially is where you lose a lot of people. They don't want to get involved in it. I said the second place you lose the minorities is there's no representation on the course. If I turn on the TV, I watch a PGA Tour event, I don't see minorities playing. Yeah. Again, when I played, I used to could count on Tiger Woods is going to be there. He was the best golfer there is. He's there all the time. He's playing Thursday through Sunday. Now, there was one African American.
I was going to say, how many minorities?
Yeah, there's one now, but he's not on the PGA Tour anymore. He went to the Live Tour. Harold Varner III. So now, if kids turn on the TV, obviously there are some popular golfers out there. You know, the Scotty Schefflers, Xander Schauffele's, those type of guys. But as far as a minority watching, I don't know how it's going to pique your interest as a kid, because you don't see any other minorities playing. Your friends are probably not playing. So it's going to be hard to get into. And are your parents or anybody in your family playing? Maybe, maybe not, right? So how does a kid get into it? So I started thinking about all this stuff, like, okay, I got to be able to do something. After he came to me with those questions, I said, what do I got to do? Yeah. So I started looking at existing organizations. There's several out there. First Tee is probably the biggest one that everybody's probably heard of. There's a couple other local organizations and probably others nationwide, but they weren't making a dent in the issue because it's still a big thing for the PGA and all the governing bodies.
Were those organizations run by a minority too, or no?
No.
Okay. I feel like that makes a big difference.
Yeah, first Tee is not. Well, again, it's how to organize it for it to work. So, a lot of these places will just say, okay, we're going to go grab some kids from the Boys and Girls Club, right? We're going to take them out to the golf course, which is fine, right? You introduce the game to them, you let them hit some balls around, putt, do whatever. Maybe they like it, maybe they don't. If they do like it, that's where I saw the disconnect. Okay, so if one kid likes it, oh, I like this. Okay, now what? Now you drop him back off at the Boys and Girls Club. Yeah. He has no more access to the course, right? That's where the problem is. So
consistency, you're saying.
Consistency, and because you think of, so you talked about the PGA Tour. All the players on the PGA Tour, if not 99% of them, grew up at the country club.
Even did Tiger?
Yes. Okay. Tiger's dad
really?
was a teacher, yes. He was a teacher. They weren't necessarily members at the club, but his dad was a golf instructor, so he had access to golf.
And again, money. You have to have money to be part of the
right. Club. And I get, and he's a golf instructor, so his dad is taking him when he's teaching lessons. There's video out there. Tiger, his dad's giving a lesson to somebody. And Tiger's in the back hitting balls, so he's around golf. But that's what you need to be. You need to be around golf. You need to have access to golf. Tiger wasn't looking for clubs. He wasn't looking for balls. He had all that because of his dad. But again, that's what the PGA Tour members have as well. They grew up at country clubs. They put them in the junior program. They can easily access golf anytime. Their parents, their dad, their mom, somebody's going to the course and they're taking junior with them, right? So I really needed to try to replicate that model. But again, it takes money and it takes access. So I decided to attack it from the other side, the adult side. So I say, hey, do you have a son, daughter, niece, nephew, grandson, granddaughter who plays golf? Now, when I say that, I'm talking to people who I know already golf, whether it be avid golfers like me, whether it be a weekend golfer. Doesn't matter. You already like golf. Now you have the ability to bring somebody from your family, a younger generation, because every last one of them that I spoke to, they said, I wish I would have golfed when I was young.
Yeah. What disciplines do you feel like you learned from golf?
Golf teaches a lot. Patience is the biggest one because you're not going to master the game. It's going to be up and down. You have to work through the up and downs. honesty, integrity. Golf is the only game you police yourself, right? Obviously, on the PGA Tour, they have rules officials, but rules officials only come in when the player doesn't understand what they need to do, or they just want to make sure. But the players police themselves. If they make a violation, they call it on themselves, and you're talking big money. So, but this is integrity, this is honesty, right? So there's a lot of things that kids can learn. But I see it as you get to spend time with your family, right? Like a mother taking her son out. She picks up golf and her son's playing golf. You know, you got 2 or 3 hours out there together, outside, away from technology. You're not on the phone, you're not on the iPad, not on the video game. Some very positive things that can come from golf.
So where do you see Beyond Birdies in the next year or so?
Well, right now, initially, we're just trying to raise funds because, remember, economics is the biggest piece. And if we don't have funds to give lessons, to get clubs, to gain access to youth programs and the golf courses, then we can't do anything. So right now, we just launched the website a few weeks ago. We're getting into raising funds. It's beyondbirdies.org. So if you can go there, you can check out the story. The mission statement is on there. The donate button's on there. Don't forget that. But we have.
Can you buy these hats?
It's just and these hats.
Are
are
those
new.
for sale?
Those are not for sale.
Okay.
Those are only for people who are in the program or people like you who will be helping promote the program.
Okay.
So that's why I brought you a hat.
Thank you.
But we, we're just getting started. I think down the road, I'd like to see some of our kids get onto high school teams. I know MPS struggles to fill the team. I think they have to have like 3 or 4 schools together to get one team together. But so I'd like to see that kind of change again.
So is
just
golf
change
still
the
in
landscape.
Schools?
Some schools is in, not all, but it's in a lot of high schools. A lot of, obviously the suburban high schools. It's definitely in, but as far as MPS, no, it's not in all schools. It's in. I think they team up because they don't have enough kids to go. But one of the other things I'm looking at is trying to get, not only on the course but off the course, because as you know, I go everywhere for golf. I golf 3 times a week, in state, out of state, and I don't see a lot of people working in the golf industry. A lot of minorities working in the golf industry.
Not just on the course, you're saying.
Not just
on
the courses, in the golf industry in general. Never, ever in my golf life seen a black cart girl. I think I may have seen one black guy working in the clubhouse, checking people in. Just there's a lot of jobs out on the course. Maintenance guys out on the course, rangers, clubhouse, pros. When I was trying to set up Beyond Birdies, I'm looking for black instructors, to be able to better connect with the kids. Can't find any black instructors in southeastern Wisconsin.
Wow. None.
So, I mean, this is what I'm saying. So there's a real need for some diversity if you're going to try to get kids in. And again, it wasn't my thing. It was PGA Tour, the PGA of America, USGA. These are the bodies that govern golf. They're calling for diversity, right? So
I feel like it's just coming off the Olympics. A lot of sports that I watched seemed a lot more diverse than what they were before. Would that be accurate?
I think everybody's working on diversity and getting some. I mean, but still, for the most part, a lot of the diversity you see. Even you look at tennis, right? The Williams sisters, obviously, Coco Gauff now. I mean, they're the exception, right? It's not like you see a normal amount, or it's there's a black tennis player or a black fencer in the Olympics I saw, right? So it's not like you see a ton of diversity. You see a sprinkling of it, a little bit of it, and I think it just it's going to take a while. It's not going to be instant because, I mean, who's interested in fencing? I don't know. Right. Look in gymnastics, though, you do see, Simone Biles in there. There's some on the men's side, so you see some diversity there, and so it is growing. But I'm focused on something that I like, which is golf, and I'm going to try to continue to promote diversity again, either on the course or even in the administration in golf.
And besides going online and donating, is there any other way that people can get involved?
Yeah,
do you need instructors?
Equipment.
We're
We're looking for any kind of partnerships, any kind of connections that could help us gain access. Right, so if you know equipment companies like the Callaways, the TaylorMades, those companies who are big in golf, any kind of connection to those personally. If you've had kids play golf coming up and they have their junior clubs and they're not using them anymore because they're going to grow out of clubs, we'll take that as a donation because we'll have kids. Here you go. We have some junior clubs for you.
And they just reach out to you directly.
Like that. Yeah, they can reach out to the website. There's email on there. You can email us. It's here to help.
Here to help.
The number 2. So here, the number 2 help. And that's at beyondbirdies.org. So that's the email. You can go online and see that on the website. But yeah, we're going to take anything we can get.
Got it. And then I like to end every podcast with this one question. I hope you're ready for it. So it's a question that my coach asks a lot, and it's called the R Factor question. So if we were sitting here a year from now, what would need to happen in both your professional or personal life for you to feel like you made progress?
In my personal life? You said my personal life?
Personal or professional or both?
I'm trying to get in my personal life now. No, I would say I would be fully retired.
Okay.
And I'd be fully working on Beyond Birdies, and we'd have several families in tow. We'd have a couple kids that are out there, maybe on the junior circuit, maybe that can get good enough to be there. Maybe some looking at being on their high school teams, and maybe dragging a few friends along. So. And we'd be fully funded, by the way, too.
Fully funded, okay. I feel that, is that personal and professional then?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Do I ask you any questions?
Oh, me? You can do,
I'm just kidding.
we'll say one question.
I got no questions.
No questions. Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining today. I appreciate you sharing more about Beyond Birdies and kind of more of a personal side for you. I feel like a lot of people may know you on a professional, but it's nice to hear a little bit more about where you came from and what you had to overcome to get here.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.